Well, thank you for that invitation. Indeed, it is good to have people in front of oneself again. And thanks also for this great hybrid event. Just a few words about myself. I'm a member of the Board of Management since January of the Rhenus Group. I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. Before that, I was 3.5, 4 years working for Amazon, responsible for all the logistics services across Europe, anything that Amazon doesn't do in-house. That was my brief. Before that, I spent, 7 years with an automotive electronic supplier for purchasing and quality. And before that, I was a consultant at McKinsey for the automotive industry. Today now, I have the opportunity to look behind the scenes of Rhenus, especially looking in detail at Rhenus logistics operations, and wanted to use that opportunity to introduce the group, first of all, say a few words about trends that we already saw and heard about, and also address a little more detailed examples of how we go about CO2 reduction and our green approach, and at the end of the day, take you along to 2 of our warehouses. Now, Rhenus is another great family-run company. There you can see it. Sorry, the prompter is slightly lagging behind. You can see we've got about 33,500 employees at 820 worldwide sites, where we generated 5.4 billion euros in revenue with logistics. And part of the same family are other companies that you see here. That's Saria at the top here. World market leader for heparin production, the entire biotechnologies, and also here a clear presence when it comes to biofuels from recycled vegetables or plant or food residues. Then we've got Transdev, a big public transportation company with a 34% share in held bus in the company, and the rest is with the French Sovereign Wealth Fund. And you can see we've got 83,000 employees in public transport across Europe, and we've got the European biggest electric bus fleet, making about 6.7 billion euros in revenue, and which most of you will know is Remondes. That's the, of course, recycling water and other recycling topics, with about 7.9 billion euros in revenue and 37,000 employees. So all in all, a big group of companies, and we enjoy the same. As you said in introduction, it's nice to have owners who maintain this over generations and hold this within the family over generations, and are managing us or running us with all their heart in the company. And I must say, it's a great joy for me to be a part of the management board since this January. Now for us, customers are also center stage. We're very customer focused, and we like customers to have big, complicated logistic issues that we need to get a wrap over, and if we are entitled to provide solutions for them. Standardization is good, yes, by all means, but we always notice that at the end of the day, you simply don't have the one-size-fits-all solution, especially if you can do whatever is necessary in logistics and if you do everything that's necessary, but I'll come back to that later. Then we have plenty of entrepreneurial spirit within the company, with over 800 units, or what we call legal entities. We have a wealth of companies where plenty of freedom for decision making is left to local decision makers, and as you also said earlier, we can react very quickly, very swiftly to different client and customer requirements. We definitely benefit as a family-run company from far-reaching decisions, from continuity, and also from the luxury of not having to publish quarterly figures. Instead, we have to present monthly results to the supervisory board. At the same time, we're very much focused on our employees and our associates, and we can note that there is a shortage of skilled workers, and it is difficult to get skilled workers, and of course, therefore, all the more glad to have a high degree of loyalty amongst our workforce in the company. And I think these Swabian traditional virtues of integrity, straightforwardness, reliability are an evident self-given within our company. When it comes to logistics, we virtually do anything that is required and necessary. Warehousing, we've got pharma companies that need to store their stuff in minus 160-degree liquid nitrogen, and we have all the chemicals that you can think of in our portfolio and in our warehouses. And at the same time, we've got e-commerce with big fashion customers that we provide that need B2B and B2C handling at various larger sites. And we do that all the way through to air freight or even to air technology. So we are the logistics guys that can even provide large air industry components and make sure that they reach the production lines in time. We do that across all the business units with our own real estate, with our own processes, with multi-customer connections, and we also do operator concepts on-site, off-site for their estates and everything that you can imagine in between. We do that with any sort of system solutions. We use customer solutions. We've got our in-house solutions. We've got market standard solutions wherever necessary and as it befits the job. Next to warehousing, we also offer everything that is required in the way of supply chain solutions, with us project logistics. So very bespoke, very customized solutions that we can offer. For example, home delivery. If you've got IKEA furniture, if that's delivered and installed in your house, it's very likely that this was done by an associate or a team from Rhenus. Same time, we do automotive logistics, both the just-in-time and just-in-sequence delivery to the OEM's factories, as well as logistics upstream and downstream of that. And in automotive, we even do assembly services. So for the big OEMs, we can even be found as tier 1 provider in the various modules. Apart from that, a host of other specialities. The list is seemingly endless. And of course, we really ship and transport everything with everything. Road haulage, we do sea freight, whatever you want to call it. We've got our own inland waterway ships. We also use other companies' ships, and with that, we can of course also provide what we call multimodal supply chains across the entire globe. No matter whether it's general cargo, bulk goods, or whether it's pallets, full containers, anything, you name it, we can handle it. And to hook up to what we heard earlier about C-part management, well, if we're here, I'm here. Yes, we also do that. We've also got customers who need that and ask that of us, who need anything from a little screw to the smallest part, all the way through to a bigger bathtub, and have all of that in their inventories, in their warehouses, and want that actually retrieved specifically on a given time, in a given day. And no matter how big, how small, how big or sizable, we can handle it, we can give it, whether it's on a pallet or not, and can be provided from us and delivered in time. But we will probably see more here, or we're here, shall we say, at the hub of it, at the center of it all, how it's done correctly. But now, let's have a look at the environmental issues and decarbonization, and here I would like to show in more detail what Rhenus is doing here. And I start with this chart here that always terrifies me, really, because you can see, of course, things are moving, and now we seem to getting a grip on this, but at the same time, we note that whatever we're doing today, after the so-called Green Deal of the European Union and the likes, anything that has been approved in the way of policies is still heading for an increase in temperature of about 3 degrees globally. And all the other commitments, of course, were made to, here as you see, the pledges and targets, 2.4. But of course, the Paris Climate Agreement that we've approved were 1.5 or even less in the way of climate heating. And even with 1.5 degree higher global climate, over 70% of our coral reefs will die. And every half degree of Celsius has, well, the likeliness of doubling the extermination of biodiversity, of desertification of whole areas. So anything between 1.5 and 2 degrees hotter temperatures on the planet, the world will look substantially different from what it looks like today. And of course, every guy working in logistics is asking himself, what can we do? What can be our contribution to bring down CO2 emissions as quickly as possible from our own logistic chain? And we are here really working on many different fronts and fighting on many different fronts. What you can see is a typical roof from a Rhenus warehouse, one of our state-of-the-art, most modern warehouses. fully ram-packed with solar panels, but of course we can do a lot more than that. First of all, of course, looking at road haulage, road traffic. Anything available on the market today is used by us, at least in test operations. Whether it's the well-known e-Actros, whether it's the test pilots with the electric-powered trucks here. What is it, A5, A1 in Germany? And we also have, as you see here, CNG, a compressed natural gas truck fleet. So we could also start our business together with you. And of course, we've got all the models of available e-trucks, whether it's home delivery for smaller clients or bigger ones. We've got the entire availability of e-trucks, or the bigger ones, the 40-ton trucks, and we are experimenting virtually with every provider in the market at the moment. Sorry to say, we can't scale this up as quickly as we want to do that, to do, of course, with range issues, to do with charging infrastructure problems, but nonetheless, we are working here at the very front of developments and can't wait for these trucks to be available in right numbers on the market and also in the right technology. The HVO trucks, maybe also to be mentioned, that is something, I mean, that's something that's based on vegetable oil. Here we're producing the fuel ourselves from residual waste, and we're also operating that fleet of these duty vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles with e-fuels, and this holds true not just for the smaller trucks on the long-haul trucks, but this could also be, as you see here, the ground handling vehicles on the Zurich airport, that is on the far right, or in our various warehouses. Here, of course, we're also using so-called e-fuels. Now, it continues, as you see. We've got sustainable warehouses. Good example here. We'll come to take a look at this in the clip later. That's our site in Tilburg. That was one of the real, breakthrough and, referential pilot project. Then, of course, as you see, a full and ram-packed with solar panels. Then we've got ships that we develop that take up substantially less energy and emit substantially less CO2. Then, in a number of places, we've been able to replace truck fleets with inland ships. Good example here is, for example, the harbor at Hamburg, where we've got this shuttle, a barge shuttle installed to bring freight from the road to the waterways. Then we work together with package automated providers to really solve the classic issue of e-commerce on air freight, which means you get a lot more packages onto a truck and at the same time also save in storage material. So here, a lot of innovation also when it comes to packaging and pack sizes. A lot of innovation already being practiced by us. Next to that, of course, we've got our own passenger vehicle fleet, the smaller cars here, as you see, also electric powered in the warehouses. And another good example is one that already was asked about during the break. Here is because WIT was also here instrumental in bringing that technology to the road. That is the so-called IFO Institute, with whom we're developing sensors that are fitted in these garbage cans for paper. That where you can actually have your data, your analog data being reused or being destroyed. And of course, it's always too late when the sensor tells you the can is full. That's too late, and you need to know early on. And of course, you don't want to have these empty cans being restored or being refilled. And with these sensors, we simply can gauge and meter how full are these various bins, and we can thereby make sure that they're always emptied at the right time and in the most efficient way. And of course, we've got a small department that even looks at such issues like, if we are asked to take computer equipment and discharge of it, we can speak with the customers. Hey, can we reuse it? Can we recycle it? Is that okay with you? And of course, often customers are glad because it's of course a benefit for the environment, and we've even been able to turn this into a little business of remarketing IT equipment. Next to that, of course, we also work together with partners. When you look at emissions in transportation, like eco-transit, where we, of course, try to offer as much transparency to our customers as possible to show them what we incur in the way of CO2 with the transportations. Many of our business units have been writing sustainability reports for years, and the group will soon do that also as an entire group. And of course, in all the bigger business units, we are ISO certified, ISO 50001, that of course looks at energy management amongst others. At the same time, we make sure that wherever there's a possibility, we try to drive this tri-modal network together with the customers at attractive prices, but also in the way of improving CO2 emissions in transportation. Regreen was another issue to offer customers alternative means of air freight with substantially improved CO2 emissions, something that's very well received. Then with EcoVadis, we've been for years already part of what's called the silver rating, with that amongst the top 10 logistics companies. And CoZero, far end, is a company with whom we're looking very granularly at our carbon footprint that we are emitting, and on that basis are doing very pinpointed measures to improve that CO2 footprint to close out at zero. I'm personally convinced that all of this is a great issue, and I've also got this cross-functional job within the Rhenus group. So, business side, I'm responsible for warehousing, automotive, but at the same time in my cross-function, I'm also responsible for our sustainability. So anything we do for the environment is something that I think benefits all of us. It's beneficial, and it's, well, for us in various ways, because it still is, shall we say, a USP if you can set yourself apart and if you can offer customers still better solutions than your direct competitors. But I believe this will change very quickly going forward. I think the social pressure is increasing so fast and so strongly that it simply will be necessary that you can produce and operate CO2 neutral, and if you don't manage in good time, you will probably lose your justification in no matter which industry you are exposed. And of course, we can also see it's good, it's beneficial for us as a company from a business perspective, because if you look at the shortage of skilled workers, you will find that also candidates that you try to recruit, they value this greatly. They still think, well, good that we are committed, and of course the world of politics also requires us to do our bit to chip in, and here of course this first investment stage needs to be mastered where the technologies are not yet worth their while, but there's the one or the other subsidy from state agencies for issues that are not yet up and running. A totally different issue now to look at is here something, because what was said earlier, I thought that was interesting to hear about that, what was it, the 6,000 little robots that you see all driving around. But if you believe market data, and I think these figures are not 100% certain going forward, but nonetheless, I think the outlook for robotics is interesting, because if you look outside the world of Amazon, it was just about 50,000 of these robots that you saw on various warehouses, autonomously driven robots that moved goods in warehouses. Amazon by itself at the time already had over 200,000 such robots in operation. But here, look at that projected growth. Here you see that by 2025 we will have about 2 million, and by 2030 we'll have about 5 million of these robots driving around. I think this is pretty realistic, these figures. Meaning, with every 50th, 100th warehouse today, you will come across one of these little driverless robots. Tomorrow, a few more, because of course, well, with Obert and with us, you will see more and more of them. And in a few years, I think this will become standard. Every fourth or fifth warehouse will simply have these autonomously driven robots. So we see there's a host of technology using them. When you look at the autonomous vehicle down here, simply to drive goods from A to B is what you see at the bottom left. That's what we call the FE-bot. And we will see more about these shuttles later on, and we will see about the automotive store. We've got drones that help us here in the high shelf warehouses, and of course we've got plenty of packaging and depalletizing robots or palletizing robots. And a little insight follows now in this little visit to one of our workshops in the clip. Let's roll it.
Welcome to Rhenus Warehousing Solutions, the global player for warehouse logistics, with expertise in retail, fashion, e-commerce, manufacturing and engineering, aeronautics, high-tech, chemicals, and healthcare. Our expertise extends to critical care requirements for the warehousing and transportation of medical devices such as heart valves. At Rhenus, we look after the entire supply chain, from the manufacturer to the hospital. Our 100% quality rate ensures that the right heart valve is delivered at the right moment to the hospital where the operation will take place. Because failure is not an option. Ongoing improvement forms the basis for innovative warehouse logistics. Our multi-client shuttle technology combines storage buffering and product transport for complete order fulfillment. With simple scalability and higher technical redundancies at the same time, we achieve extraordinary performance values. Our auto store in Tilburg is another example of our scalable goods-to-man innovations. An automated storage and order picking system uses robots and bins to quickly process small parts orders. This multi-client setup means we can increase picking efficiency and output and specific handling at the value-added services stages. The robots stack bins in the storage system grid and then transport items for delivery to the order picking stations. Aisles are superfluous, making for an unusually compact automated storage and picking system. As a global logistics and family business, we are aware of our social responsibility. Sustainability is a central pillar of our philosophy, and solutions are built for efficiency and customer value. One of our initiatives have been our vision of sustainable warehouses and offices. One good example is the construction of the Tube, one of the most sustainable industrial buildings in the world, with a BREEAM Outstanding score of 99.48%. Rhenus Warehousing Solutions. We work together as one team to unlock the full potential of both our customers and of our people.
Well then, that was it. A little visit to one of our workshops, two of our 840 sites here. Sorry to say that not all of them have these great state-of-the-art technologies on display. We've got plenty to do, so therefore we've got plenty of work to do with our fleets to get our fleet also CO2 neutral, but I think we are well on our way, and I would say we've got plenty of practical experience also already on our back.